Hello everyone and welcome to another track guide. Now Dragontrail was the track mentioned in the last video in the comments. Well, there was a couple of tracks mentioned. So let's do Dragontrail. It's an absolutely fun track. It's one that you can really enjoy. And let's start the lap. So you start the lap on the left hand side of the track. And you do this to straighten out this right hander basically. And this is so you can carry momentum through the corner. Now you could stay tight, but you're not going to get that 0.5 or 1 mile an hour difference that you would want on this lap. So I'd always recommend doing that line as you come into here. Now I've got the cones on. Cones are your first indicator. I only brake between the cones and the curbs. That's your first indication, and you're going to go tight the left hand side in most of these cars. In some Group 3 cars though, don't go this tight because it'll unstabilize the car and you'll oversteer. As you can see, as I turn in, I don't go full tight because I keep one side of the car on the right hand side of the curb and the other half on the left. But as I come into this one, I do want to stay tight here. Use that curb to get momentum around and be careful on the exit, because if you're full throttle on the exit, it's not so bad in this M4. If you're full throttle, especially in Group 3, you're going to spin there. So half throttle is very good at that point in the corner, and then you accelerate through. You can use a lot of the exit there. It's not going to hamper you too much, but you got to be careful of the oversteer. That corner is treacherous with the throttle. If you can just half throttle through it, you will survive. Do be careful of that corner. As you come into here, it's flat through here in nearly every single car I've done. Cut it as much as you can if you're struggling to flat it. Cones there indicate the first area where you're going to brake. I brake as close as I can to this gravel, and I'm going to stay left for quite a while because I want like a rotation in sort of. And if you turn in too early, you're going to run wide. So you turn in, you can use more of that curb if you want. Accelerate as quick as you can out this corner because it's quite a long acceleration period. You'll see why. The quicker you can accelerate out, the quicker the lap will be. As you can see, we're down on our lap time at the moment in this Group 4 car, but even so, we're going to push on. Do be careful of any oversteer on that exit again. It can be treacherous, but the curb should help you a little bit there. As you come down to here, you're going to go slightly to the right, and now on the left hand side you got the barrier which changes colour. That is the marker I normally use for this track. You see it there, the change of colour. So I then trail brake in. Now the line through here is key. Make sure you cut this quite a bit, enough so that the tyres are on the inside of the curb. It'll drag you around a little bit. Don't run too wide. Run too wide, you're going to affect this entire section. I run a little bit wide here, but I can bring it back in this car. In other cars, you won't be able to do this. Then to the right, same again. Get that tyre on the inside of that curb. You can just see the car bounce there. It just turns me enough in the corner to give me a nice run up to the final part of this section. Go to the left. Again, tyre on the inside if you can. You see the car bounce there, and then keep accelerating through. This should be all flat at this point. You want the best run you can. Don't go too wide here, especially in Group 3 again. If you go too wide there, you could bottom out the car and go flying. You may have seen that in my Lamborghini manufacturer's race, my first race here. I actually did that there. As you come to this, it's not quite a hairpin, but it's a very sharp right-hander. Your indicator for braking is the curb. Now, where you want to brake on this curb is up to you. I normally start braking at the start of it. In some cars, you could brake a bit later, as I do here in the M4. Brake, and you're going to drop all the way down into the low gears here. I normally go down to second because if you go into first gear, you're going to fail. Now, in this car, it's third gear just because of the car. Now, be careful on accelerating. It's wide track, but it tightens. And as you're full throttle here, any turbo action will start to kick in around this point, and you will get oversteer. Be very careful. You should straighten your steering quite a lot at this point. Use the curb if you need to. If you're still tight on that angle on that turn, you're going to struggle. As you see, that's the end of Sector 2, and we come to probably one of the most treacherous parts of the track, but also the fun part if you get it right, the chicane. Now you can cut all the curb on the inside, on the right hand side, so feel free to do that. Don't cut as much on the left hand side. You cut more on the left hand side, it may force you into the barrier, so just play it safe here. As you get to that curb, you're going to already begin to start turning in to the next part of the chicane. You need to stay tight as possible to this first part, and then you can straighten up for the second part. Very dangerous corner. You can hit the barrier on the outside, you will lose time. You hit the barrier on the inside of that chicane, you're going to lose tons of time. Now I normally have a time reference point here with the start of the tunnel to try and get an idea of how good I'm doing this this lap. So you know, you can reference that. That chicane is treacherous. If you feel you have to lift. It's better to lift slightly and get through it than crash, especially in a race. As you come to this last corner, you got loads of brake marks on the left hand side, 200, 150, 100. I'm normally braking around the 100-meter mark, where the cone is, the curbs around there as well, all good brake markers. And as you come in, now if you're going to start a lap, you're going to take a really wide line and come in. As you come to the end of a really fast lap, you're going to stay tight. Or if you're in a race, you can sort of do tight in some cars or sometimes in the middle. In this situation, because it's a fast lap, and we're on about track guides and fast laps here, just at this section, you stay tight. Even though you're going to lose time on the straight, and you'll start to see that minus 200, minus 183, you start to see that come down. By the time you get to the top of this hill, you're about even with speed again. So you don't actually lose that much. Yes, you lose some speed, and it will affect your next lap. Do bear that in mind. You'll be half a tenth down by the first corner, but it's actually faster to finish the lap that way. As I say, you can take a middle-ish line to then cut it tight on the final bit, and do be careful on the exit, because if you're on the exit, again like the first corner, you may oversteer because of the way the track is, so do be careful. And that was a top 10 time in that BMW M4 at the time. I think the fastest was a 1:43.8 or something like that. But plenty of time in that lap, of course. That was a quick practice with that car, and that was the best lap I had recently of Dragontrail. So let's do this in sort of full speed. So here we go, we start the lap. Stay to the left hand side. You're going to take this line as smooth as possible towards the right, getting ready for the first chicane. And we're going to brake just after the cones, but before the curb, somewhere in there. You have to judge that yourself. Cut to the left hand side, don't cut too much, just enough there, and get the tyre on the right hand side. Be careful on exit, half throttle if possible. You saw I went to 3/4 there, not fully full throttle, depending on the car. It'll depend how much you have to come off the throttle. As we come through here, flat through here, the cones indicate where you need to start braking initially. Can brake as close to that gravel trap as possible. That's where your sort of brake marker is and where you want to push. Accelerate through that corner as fast as possible. It's really key to get a fast timing set to 1 to accelerate through that corner and the first chicane as well. Coloured barrier on the left hand side, your brake marker, trail brake in, don't fully brake, and be careful through your line here. Don't run too wide in any of these corners, especially the first one. The first one affects all the other two and the total section altogether. You want to be flat through the rest of it. As you see, we're heading towards this right-hander curb on the left hand side. Is your brake marker. You can brake a bit further in if you have the ability to. I know we dropped to second gear. I ran a bit wide there. You can use the inside. Be careful on the exit again. Half throttle if you need to stabilise a car. Better to keep the car on the track than slide off. Cut the inside of the chicane there. Be careful here. Lift if you need to lift. Otherwise, full throttle if you can. Be careful of the barrier. Hit the barrier, you game over in a race or in the qualifying lap. As you head towards the last corner, you've got the cones, 100-meter marker, and the curb. Choose which one you want to use. On a fast lap, stay tight. If you're going to start a fast lap, stay on a really outside line and full throttle through. In the race, you're sort of middle-ish line. Yes, someone could dive on you inside, but there's so much track available to you, you can actually defend that as you come on the straight, and that's a fast lap. Let's do what we did last time. Let's have a look at penalty reduction. There's only one place to reduce your penalty in a really effective manner. So I'm going to show you where I got the penalty first, because I did explain it a little bit on that track guide. So I got this penalty on the first corner. As you can see, I'm qualifying for the actual race here because I cut it too much. As you see here, I cut it too much. It unstabilizes the car, which is why I say half and half. As you saw there, on the exits, the weight is still shifting. So let's fast forward this now, and let's get to where we're going to reduce the penalty. I didn't find anywhere here really where it reduces it as well as Suzuka did, but there is one place you can effectively do it, and I'll show you that here. As we just accelerate towards it now. Look at that, fast forward, how great. So as we come up to this corner, it's here where you can reduce your penalty, but quite a bit and not lose that much. So I lose a little bit at the end of it, but if you look, half throttle here starts to lose it. Look at that. So we lose the light. I'd have full throttle by this point. I wouldn't have carried on like I did. Half a second earlier, come off. So you can lose about 3 tenths, 4 tenths on time, but lose a second on that penalty. So now I'm practicing if I can lose it anywhere else. This is a place you do not slow down. Look at this. I'm off the throttle. It isn't dropping. I actually have to brake at this point to lose the time there. There we go. We start to lose it. So that is really key there. There's only the right-hander really that I found where you can lose that penalty. Overtaking and defending. Where can you overtake and defend on this track? Well, literally everywhere, as it's a Gran Turismo custom track. It's probably the best custom track that they've made. Sorry for no sound on this clip. I don't seem to have the raw footage anywhere, so yeah. This is the video I actually uploaded it's a couple of months ago now. It's my first race here. So as you can see, it's single file through there. It's not really an overtaking place. But this right-hander is like one of the best corners in the game for me. And as you can see, it brings lots of action. So I defend on the inside, but this guy goes around the outside. And because it's wide and then tightens a little bit and everyone's half throttle, full throttle and all that lot, it can be a good place to overtake on the inside or out. Now I've got another example of this, and you will have seen this. As you can see there, by the way, that's all single file. The first corner is not the best just because of the way the corners are. The curbs will chuck you all over the place, but we've all seen this race, haven't we? Also, actually, before I get to the other corner, here's a good place to overtake, the cutback. Now I don't do it really well here, but you can cut back quite a lot. I've done that on quite a few guys there, so do look into that. And then of course this is where you can lose time if you're side by side. As you can see, I'm having to lift off a lot more here just to stay on the track. As you see, the line compromised me there. So let's jump back to that right-hander now. As we head down there, 3 wide. We all saw this video. If you haven't, go watch it. It's a blooming good race. This is why this corner is epic for overtaking. Look at this. So inside, outside, everywhere. Matty does the cutback. Nick was on the inside. Dizzle was on the outside, but clean racing. That many cars can fit, and you can have some really, really, really good fun. And as I said before, you've got to be careful at the chicane. Nick's not very careful there. Just clips to the left, forces him into the right, causes a bit of chaos. Someone hits me as I slow down for Nick. Bit of craziness. But that's what the chicane can do. It also can be a good place to get a real good manoeuvre done. So as you see here, Roller just gets it slightly wrong. Because I lifted off a little bit and saw it coming, I could dart down the inside, because that's the thing with that curb, it'll chuck you away. And then this final corner can be a good place to overtake as well. So you just got to be careful of dive bombs on this corner, but you can do side by side around here and can get a good run off it. As I say, look at the size of the track, loads of track. So that's been a track guide of Dragontrail. Let me know of any other tracks you want me to do a track guide of. I will do them all eventually. But that's it here from Dragontrail. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. There's a video playlist there if you want to watch any more track guides, any more videos. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, and leave a comment if you do dislike it. I'd like to hear like constructive criticism and stuff. But I will see you in the next video. So thanks for watching.